Fire Radio.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Size Up by National Fire Radio, where what you do off the job matters. It's me, Pip, and if you're watching this on the interwebs and not like in your car out for a run or wherever you happen to listen to my voice all these times, you'll notice something different for this episode of the Size Up. This Tuesday episode is I'm all alone. I don't have a guest this week. And there's a few different reasons why that happened. You know, it's kind of like the end of summer and kind of set up summer with all these guests that I had lined up. And then some people couldn't do it and I couldn't do it. And there's been cancellations. And I learned a valuable lesson about trying to get California emergency service providers on in the summer. You really can't do that because of fire season. So what you'll see in the fall is a couple of wildland firefighters are going to come on when their season kind of peaks or dies down or whatever you want to say. But I just didn't have a guest for this week's episode. And I have a bunch of guests lined up. It just, my math was wrong. You know, you've heard me say in the past, like no English, no math. That's why I became a fireman. I didn't have an episode for Tuesday. And I was kind of like, well, whatever. I've done this for now every Tuesday. It's like over a year and a half, I think, or somewhere in there. What's one Tuesday that I don't do an episode? And I was just going to let it go and be like, sorry, guys, there's no episode this week. And I thought about it some more. And I, of course, talked to Mrs. Pip a little bit about it. And I had already made up my mind that I was going to do this, but she was like, you can't do that. And actually, Finn said that as well when he heard me talking to her about that. Like, it was like, it's just not you. And it's been a really interesting, let's just say, week here in my life. I feel like they're all interesting, but, you know, the summer's winding down, so the boys are going back to school, which is exciting. Like, yes, it's the most wonderful time of the year. Like, if I could sing, I would sing that part, but it's just like that Staples commercial, right? But it's interesting because when I think about that and them going back to school in this summer, which was epic, and I did try to record like a lot in a very short amount of time, so I had more time with the boys, and Tracy as well. But you know, Tracy works 4 days a week and is not here. But I didn't want to be recording episodes a lot while the boys were here and weren't doing other activities. But when you go back to school, when they go back to school, we have a schedule again. And I feel like we all work better on a schedule. Like I know I can schedule a podcast, I can schedule calls, I can schedule whatever else is that I'm doing, that Tracy's doing, that the boys are doing. Like the calendar for September is already filled with so much. But I don't know. It's just, I don't want them to go back. I love the summer, but they got to go back. Like we have to get back on this schedule. And so that's been like the last week. And then unfortunately, you know, Tracy and I lost a friend to cancer. And that made things a little harder to kind of just get through the week and get through our normal week because, you know, you listen to the episode with Tracy and she works in palliative care and, you know, she helped him transition on his journey home, which is one way that he described it to her kind of early on. And this friend was just one of those larger than life people. And there's been so many great tributes out there, but knowing what was going on with him and not necessarily being able to share that with other folks because of his wishes. And it just made for an interesting week here at our house. And it just so happens that as I'm recording this, Tracy is away at a conference speaking to oncologist about palliative care. And she just recently helped a friend with cancer transition, and it just made for very interesting conversations between the two of us, and even between the boys because they saw this going on between us and other friends and the phone ringing and now multiple social media posts. And it's just one of those things that I don't know, it made me still want to record today, right? Is that a good way to put it? It made me still want to do this episode because I know that's what he would have wanted me to do. He was always one of those like Pip supporters, but in the background, you know, is a good way to put it. Or like one of the first people to ever take a 555 sticker in a helicopter. Um, like coolest moment for me as a newer entrepreneur, not for profit person to post my buddy with our sticker on his flight helmet. Same thing with the podcast. Like he always was in the background texting me and saying like, oh, I heard that episode. It was good. Or like, you know, I saw you record it again or what are you up to now? So it just made today a little more special when I think about that. And it's interesting too, and I'm probably going to say it's interesting a lot because it's just me. And come on, like, let's face it, I am not the best person at this, especially by myself. I think I was actually better with it earlier on when I didn't have so many amazing guests that I got to help them tell their story and share their story. Like, I feel like an imposter right now being here by myself with, like, God, does anybody even want to know what I have to say? Because I love hearing what my guests have to say. I love taking their story and getting it out to all of you and allowing them to kind of to share that way. I think that's what the Size Up is all about. I don't think when Jeremy kind of pitched me as trying to host another show or do this thing, we ever thought it would really be this way. Maybe he did, for all I know, but I never did. I didn't really know what it was going to be. And I love, absolutely, my favorite comments are when it's about the guest and their story and what their story meant to someone. Um, and I also notice I get way more of them privately than I do publicly, which is totally cool. But again, those guests that come on, all the guests that I've had, the 80, I think this is episode 85. I probably should have looked beforehand. But all those 84 guests beforehand, their stories matter. What they do matters. And so many of them are like, this is my first podcast, or no one's asked me to ever be on a podcast before. And I can't understand why usually, because I feel like they're so interesting and their story is so great and they have so much to tell. And I always say this, like in the little pre-recording before we start actually recording, is like, listen, you're going to look down and it's going to be like 8 minutes. And you're like, oh my God, I got to talk to this dude for an hour. How are we going to do that? And the next thing you know, it's like 53 minutes in and I'm rushing to get to the Size Up 10. So it's been such a great journey. And the other day, someone sent a text to Tracy of a quote, and I have no idea who said it. She sent it to me, and it immediately kind of brought on tears just because of, again, the emotions of the week. And when I think about our friend that passed and just this whole quote, and I'll give it to you here as the easiest way to do it. But it says, your purpose is not just the thing you do, it's the thing that happens to others when you do what you do. It's how you make people feel and remember you by doing what you do. It's the experience that your energy leaves upon them. By mastering your unique gifts, you step into the realm of infinite possibilities. The greatest blessing you can give to humanity is owning your purpose and inspiring others to courageously own theirs. Oh my God, I said that whole thing and I messed it up at the end. To courageously own theirs. And you just kind of think about that quote and you think about your life and all the things you've done, or at least I did, right? And all the things that I've consider myself fortunate to be a part of, because I don't feel like I've done any of them. And I definitely have not done any of them alone by myself. All of my successes are attributed to those folks around me, my mentors, my friends, my family, the people that I met along the way that helped me do these things. And I think it's so awesome when you kind of think about this quote. And I just kind of keep looking down at it. So if you're watching, I'm not looking at the camera, but it makes me wonder about my unique gifts and what it is that I really have to offer to this world. You don't normally think about that. I'm 45 years old and I think back and I'm like, what did I offer to the world? Well, I guess I saved some people's lives, right? That's something that I've done. I've helped them in their time of need. Um, I've been able to hopefully help mentor some folks along the way, even though I don't really necessarily consider myself this great mentor, but at least I can maybe give some advice that may make them look at a situation differently or look at it the way that I look at it. And it's all these unique gifts. And I make the joke that, like, the reason I have a podcast and the reason it's successful is because Tracy says I can talk to a wall. Like, I can talk to anybody. I love chatting with folks and hearing what they're all about and telling them what I'm all about too. Like, I'm not going to sit here and lie and be like, I don't add my own flavor into some of these things that I'm involved in or when I'm talking to someone. But I think that's what makes me a little unique. And when I look at this podcast and I look at all the guests I had, they're all unique in so many different ways. and by sharing their story with the greater public, with the greater listeners. Because it's a weird thing with a podcast. I know people listen. We get to see, that the number of listeners and how long they listen for and where they're from kind of geographically. But I have no idea who's on the other side of this. Even when I pick guests, I'm always like, I really wonder if this guest is going to kind of, if my listeners are going to get this guest. And I feel like that's kind of what always happens, when I try to pick my guest and decide who is going to come on the show and when they're going to be on and what we're going to talk about. But it's so cool to see that connection, right? To get what they have going on and get it out to the general public. Like, I think that that's such a unique gift that maybe I have. I don't really know. Sorry, I have to turn my phone off. Rookie podcaster guest. But is that my unique gift? I don't know. But I'm going to keep searching. I'm going to keep putting these episodes out there. I'm going to keep doing whatever I can do to help others tell their story and to highlight what it is that they're doing that does matter. And for that part of this, it's kind of like a request too, if you're still listening. But listen, whatever it is you do, let me know if you want to come on the show. Reach out via Instagram, reach out via Facebook, reach out to National Fire Radio, the greater platform here, and let us know what you want to do. Or better yet, if you have someone you think should come on the show because they are doing something amazing and it needs to be told, let me know and I'll reach out to them. I think of all in I don't want to say most of the episodes, but a fair amount of the episodes, I've just reached out blindly to people that I follow online, or someone has been like, hey, check this guy or girl out and see what they're doing. And it's just a reach out to be like, hey, would you like to come on the show and talk about it? And this is just a chat. It's just a chat between me and someone else. I try to keep it really easy, really light. Even though we do talk about serious topics, I want the guests to be at ease. And I enjoy learning more about them. Like, I've had guests come on if you've listened to a lot of the episodes, and my thought is, hey, we're going to talk about A, B, and C. And as we start talking, somehow X, Y, and Z gets involved, and I'll say at the end, we didn't even talk about what I thought we were going to talk about. So we have to have another episode to talk about that. And I just think it's a cool thing that happens with this and this medium. So I just want to keep thanking you guys for listening, for tuning in, for kind of your belief and support in me and what we have going on here with the Size Up. I'm always willing to take any type of suggestions. Again, any guest offers. If you want to be a guest, someone that has to be a guest, and criticisms too. Look, if there's something that you're like, Pip, your lighting sucks, or Pip, you suck as a host, feel free to let me know that too. I mean, I have plenty of folks out there that dislike me for a variety of reasons and have no trouble, not necessarily telling me that they dislike me, but telling other folks that they dislike me. Which isn't a big deal either, because hey, that's what it's all about. Well, that's not what it's all about, but you'll have that. You're not going to make everybody happy in life, especially when you're putting yourself out there and you're doing something like this. It's just the way it goes. And it doesn't necessarily sit well with me that I'm not making everyone else out there happy or so, but you can't please everyone is an easy way to put it. And something that kind of jumps into is just my own self-doubt, right? Like, I had some self-doubt about even doing this episode again, like by myself, and not really having the guest to bounce things off of, just sitting here talking. And as you can tell, it's definitely shorter than my normal episode. I'm not going to go for an hour. It's only going to be about another 5 minutes, of course. And that goes into my own self-doubt of, can I do this for an hour? Because it is definitely a bit of a challenge, just kind of talking on your own. And I credit all those folks out there that can do this. There are a lot of folks out there that put out great content where it's just them by themselves. Maybe someday I'll get there. I probably said way too many times too. I'm trying to prevent those ums from happening because I do have a promotional exam to take eventually, and ums are bad. So if anybody wants to go back and count my ums, I may go back and count my ums. I'm not counting these ums where we're talking about ums, but that goes back to that self-doubt as well. And it's something I'm trying to get over. Like, I have no problem putting that out there, that I've had this self-doubt forever, as long as I can remember. And it kept me from doing and trying a lot of things in my younger years that I really should have tried. I really should have done. And it's a big part in my parenting style with the boys to say, like, hey, you have to try this. I know it's scary. I know you're afraid. I'll be here with you the best that I can be. I will walk you to that door of whatever the place is, but you have to go and try this, because if you don't, you will regret it later. And I know there's some things that I didn't try that I regretted, or steps I didn't take that I regretted. No complaints, but just some things that I'd always wondered if you did it a different way. So that's kind of me, and that's kind of this quick little podcast. But I was told that I just couldn't do this by myself this time. This I think, like I said, I think it's episode 85, without doing the size up 10. But I can't necessarily ask myself these questions. So we thought I would need another host, like a co-host for this part. And I know no one better than my youngest son, Declan, aka Dex Paparo, who insists that I use the soundboard before he comes in to do the size up 10 with me. So come on, Declan, here's your music.
Okay, hello everybody. My name is Declan, aka Dex, and I'm here to ask my father the size up 10 questions.
What a guy. And the, the theme music is the best.
Yeah, that was great. You should start off every episode now with that. Just like that's the intro, and then you start talking.
There's a little bit of theme music in the beginning of the show. Sebi takes care of that for me. But your theme music was better, I feel like. So
yeah, probably was.
You do enjoy the soundboard a bit. So what do you think, man? Are you ready to ask me the size up 10? Do you want to leave them there just in case I have to help you, even though I ask these every week? So no joke, since the beginning of the size up 10, if you're looking, I typed them out, and the ones that I've changed, I've actually crossed out. I feel like it's better to keep that original and just kind of cross it out. So do you want to keep it there in case I forget what you're supposed to ask me? Microphone.
Okay, I guess.
You can see them. You're good.
All right. Mountains or beach?
You switched it up. I always go the other way. You're making this your own, huh? I'm gonna go with mountains, dude. I do enjoy the shore. And I use beach because I'm asking a greater audience, but in New Jersey we call it the shore. I do enjoy the shore a lot with you, but I feel like our time in the mountains is always better. So I'm going with mountains. Thank you.
Yeah, mountains are pretty good. All right. Night out or night in?
At my age now, I'm totally a night in guy. And I've said this before on podcasts. Definitely a night in guy.
Okay. What's a good movie that you've seen?
This is a hard one, and I've been thinking about this. Like, what movie am I going to recommend that everybody needs to see in life? And there's just so many, and so many of my guests have had great answers. I'm probably going to steal one because I'm pretty sure somebody said this, but I think it's got to be Forrest Gump, dude. Like, that movie has it all, right?
Yeah, that was a good movie.
We've watched it a couple of times, right? Yeah, it's a good one. So I'm gonna go with Forrest Gump, start to end. Like, one of the best movies I've ever seen, and one of the first movies in the movie theater that I think in my 15-year-old self, cried in the movie theater. I think the first time a movie made me cry was Forrest Gump. So
yeah, it was a good movie. Anyways, on a cross-country road trip, who's your co-pilot famous person, dead or alive?
I like it. I like the way you asked that. Can I have two, please? Can I pick two?
I don't know. You're the one who made the questions. You control the entire show. You can choose if you have to. It's your show.
Do you think it's okay if I say two, though?
I guess it says co-pilot. There aren't necessarily two co-pilots, but sure, I guess you can have two.
All right, thanks, because I have two. I've thought about this a lot, and again, my guests have said some phenomenal people, but I am going to go with Bruce Springsteen and Barack Obama together, though, not separately, because their podcast was so amazing. I've listened to it twice, and I think I'm due for another listen. Just the way that they looked at the world and their similarities, yet different ways to look at it. I think it would be an awesome road trip. So Bruce Springsteen, Barack Obama together in the car with me.
Okay, I just want to say that I know Barack Obama, but I don't know Bruce Springsteen. If there's enough time,
You know who Bruce Springsteen is. We've listened to enough Bruce Springsteen music, so you know who he is.
I don't know the artists that play the songs. I just listen to the music.
All right, we'll work on that. That's an embarrassing
Yeah.
thing for me right now, but he knows who Bruce Springsteen is. Trust me.
Okay, anyways, do you make your bed every day?
100%.
Really? Even at home at the firehouse?
Yeah, for sure. 100%. Well, the firehouse, I make my bed before the shift and I break it down. But at home, I make my bed every day. I even make my side of the bed if mommy's still sleeping because she's going to work later than me. I just make my little side. And then she takes care of her side.
Okay, what's a famous book that you would recommend for people to read?
This is a really hard one, too, because so many of my guests have said so many amazing books. And I've been kind of thinking about this since I decided to do this. And mommy said that you had to ask me these questions. And I'm going to throw it way back to high school. And it's just because I saw it on Finn's reading list for freshman year this year. But I'm going to go with Of Mice and Men. Of Mice and Men's a really good book. I'm excited that they're still, reading it in high school and that Finn gets to read it this year. And you'll get to read it when you're a freshman. So it's a really good book. Of Mice and Men.
I'm excited for that. Okay, highway or back roads?
As much as I love riding on the back roads, I think I'm a highway guy because I just got to get to where I'm going. Definitely think I'm a highway guy.
Yeah, makes sense. I think it's faster. All right. A bucket list of places to visit.
No, just no, read it again because there's no S there.
A bucket list place to visit.
So only one place. That's all I get to pick.
Then it's not a bucket list. It's just a place you want to visit. Why would you write it out like that?
Declan, I love you, buddy.
I make a good point, don't I?
You make a very good point, right? He does. Okay. It would be like my top bucket list place to visit. Maybe I should change the question, right? Because
like number one place you want to visit.
But think about it this way. How about this? So Declan, well, how old are you? 11 or 12? You're 11. You're 11, right? So in his 11-year-old world, I see what you're saying here. But let's think about my bucket list has a bunch of things I want to do on it. And one of those things is a place to visit. How about that?
Okay, well, on the bucket list, the place you want to visit, what's number one up there? What's the greatest place you want to visit?
I still think, again, there's a lot of places. One we've already been to, one we're going to this year. So I'm going to go with one that we haven't booked yet, but someday I want to go. I want to go to Bora Bora.
Bora Bora?
Yep.
What's Bora Bora?
A very small island in the middle of kind of nowhere.
I thought it was going to be Italy.
I've been to Italy already, though. I want to go back to Italy. That's on the list. That's on my vacation list.
Really? Yeah, makes sense. I want to go to Italy, too.
We're going. A couple of years, we'll go. I promise.
Yeah. All right. Football or football?
I'm going.
And if you don't know, football is how we're saying soccer on the show. If you're an American and you didn't know what I meant by football, in other places they call soccer football.
Great explanation.
Football.
I'm going with football. I mean, we just went out to watch Wrexham this morning, and they win again. And I had the match prediction 2-0, 2-0 for the Red Dragons. Let's go.
Yeah, 1,000 points to Gryffindor, and subtract 21 from Slytherin because they can never win at anything.
Total inside joke right there. But that's okay, Declan. Everybody listening, at least if they've seen Harry Potter, which is, again, another great movie series to watch.
That's a great movie series.
And they're great books to read, too. That could go for both your answer. You could go for Harry Potter movies because they did do them really well. Yeah. Harry Potter book. And it could even go for a bucket list place to visit because you can go to Universal Studios to Harry Potter Land. We've been there.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Hagrid best. If I added best thrill ride, I would do Hagrid's on here for sure.
Hagrid, it is a super long wait, but it is worth it. Oh my god, this is awesome.
We even waited when the ride broke down. We just sat down.
Yeah, we don't care. We knew.
You're coming off the screen. Come back.
We had already known that it was worth it, so we were just waiting there. We saw a bunch of people get off the line, but we waited. We waited.
You're the best. All right. Number 10. Nobody wants to hear you, though. Too bad.
The last one, number 10. The best advice you could give to your younger self.
Yeah, that's always a tough one. It's a tough one for guests. It's a tough one for me. But I definitely already said it in this little mini Pip episode. See what I did there? Mini Pip, because it's a shorter episode, and we call you the Mini Pip.
Yeah,
right?
we call me and Finn Mini Pips.
You're right. but you're not really so mini anymore. But that's the new hashtag. It's not so many pips too, but they're still the mini pips to me. Anyway, it's that self-doubt thing. Like, my whole life I've had self-doubt, and I think it's going to continue. I don't think there's a way to just stop the self-doubt about what I can do or what I should do. I think really though, when I look back at my younger self, that I didn't do a lot of the things I should have done or wanted to do because of self-doubt. And so if I had to go back, I tell that kid to just do it, man. Just literally try different things, try more things, and put yourself out there even more, because I didn't start doing that until I got later in life. And that really changed kind of my trajectory, let's say, forward.
YOLO. You only live once.
That's right, buddy. YOLO. You only live once, which is the title of a past podcast with my buddy Levi. So that's pretty funny that you said that too, because you didn't know that. But
I did not.
Pretty cool. Well, listen, guys, I have been babbling on here for like 15, 18 minutes or so, and then Dex jumped in for a big help. Give me a high five. Pow. I can't thank him enough. We have to get Declan on here for an episode. We talked about doing it this summer, and it just didn't happen as a full one. And I think
my brother got an episode. I deserve one.
You are correct. Finn had an episode, and I think we've talked about this here in our own house, and I think Tracy's going to come on, and we're all going to do an episode together, myself, Tracy, and Dex, just to talk about Declan and kind of his life and what's led him to where he is today, and you know, having dyslexia and having worked harder and found his workabouts about that. So it's definitely going to be an episode. It's just a matter of getting the three of us kind of some time in a room. But I can't thank you enough for doing the Size Up 10 with me, so thank you for that.
You're welcome, Father.
And as always, I can't thank everyone else out there for listening every week. Your likes, your reshares, your comments, your posts, your messages to me, they mean so much. They kind of keep this whole thing going, and I'm looking forward to keeping it rolling. We'll be back next week with a brand new guest here on the Size Up by National Fire Radio, where what you do off the job matters.
National Fire Radio.